The more loan you have paid off, the closer that your net worth will get to your total assets. As again, your total net worth is the sum of total assets minus your total abilities. Again, if we filter in your ETF, for example, or your house, let's go with your house, we can see again that you start in 2025 with around a valuation of $250,000 on your house. And in 20 years, the same house will be worth almost double the amount. You can also see your ETFs and your funds and stocks, and all these are just steadily increasing. And of course, your total assets is the sum of your house, your emergency funds, and all these assets. So this should be your motivation to find air in your budget and to keep investing. And again, this is just given the assumption that your income only increases with 3%. There's no bonus, there's no extra demand in the area of your house. So I would say this is more a conservative view on finances. And if you were to update the input page every year, let's say you were to get a pay jump of $500 here per month, which is quite a large pay jump. But let's say you change your job or you get more responsibility and whatever. This also compounds into the next year. Now the whole baseline for your income the next 20 years has taken into account this one raise. And let's say this year again, you change your job and get an extra 500. This means that if you scroll down here, on top of what you're already investing, you have an extra $600 to invest. And let's say we put it into our funds, for example. We get to invest $592 more every month starting in 2027 for the next 20 years. If we look at the graph now, we see that instead of having just over 2 million in total assets in 20 years, we have 2.5 million. So these changes, which we do early in our life, we take a leap of faith, we get a new job, we get a new side hustle, and we focus in on investing these extra cash and getting money to work for us. It's evident how much it pays off in the long run. This is called compounding, or the compound effect. So this is the overview of the model. I've explained how to input data, how it works with the loans, how the average disposable income works, how to put in savings and invest things and put money aside, which will grow. I've explained a little bit about the visuals here and also how that affects the long-term budget of yours. This is made on a yearly average in order to limit the amount of inputs that you have to make. But let's say you want to go down into the nitty-gritty and be very, very focused on every income and expense. You can also go into the private budget and make adjustments. So this is all the calculations for all the years in the whole model. And as you see, it's a very big file with many formulas, which you shouldn't touch too much. But I have still made it possible to make small changes behind the scenes, so to speak, and also in order for you to get a much larger perspective on each detail and to really keep track of every expense in every month. And this is how it works. So first up, the top of the budget here, you will see that this is tied up to the date of today, meaning that you would quickly be able to, if you go from your input budget to your private budget, you will quickly be able to see, okay, I have to be up to date with at least these 6 months, and this one is the ongoing. This allows for structure, but also forces you to check if all this is correct, if your taxes is correct, if your income is correct, and so on. All the things that you had on your input page. But you can also see here that I've put in corrections, or the ability to make corrections. And that is, of course, the grey area here. You can make corrections to your income statement. You can make corrections to your cost. Can make corrections to your loans. These are dark grey and has to do with how you pay off your loans. For example, in quarters. So these dark greys you shouldn't touch. And then, of course, you have your investment activities and your balance here. And if we start on the top, so this allows you to make monthly changes instead of just putting in the 6,000 in the input page and your income being 6,000 a month for the whole year. You can now put in, oh, I got a raise of 200 in March and this continued until May, and in June I changed jobs. Additional raise of 500, for example, compared to the 200, so 700 in total, and that I'm forecasting it to the end of the year and also the beginning of 2026. You might also have gotten another cost deductible, a viable bonus, for example, of let's say 200 again. So this allows you to be even more detailed in how your budget is set up and for the model not to be as rigid and closed as it might seem at first. So that's your income. Let's say you got a rent increase or you spend a little bit more than heating or water. And this is, of course, minus, let's say you did $10 more this month. and $5 more this month, and 7 more here, whatever. You can make corrections to all the costs that you have input. As already mentioned, regarding the loans, these are dark grey, meaning please don't touch. So let's go on to the investments. And this is, of course, if you have corrections to the amounts that you put in different months. Let's say you put in an extra $50 because it was your birthday and you got an extra $50 or whatever. Or you put an extra amount of $60 in here in stocks in May and so on. You get the point. This here, I would say, is the most important corrections you can make because this allows for you to make corrections based on the specific amount of your savings, the specific amounts on your stocks and funds and so on. So, as you know, this is projected with 8% increase over the year or 8% minus the fees and the cost of pension and so on. But you can now go in and correct these numbers by month if you want to. For example, if the ETFs increased or decreased with more or less than this, well, you can go here now and say, okay, actually, it was a good month, so we did an extra $100. And this is immediately changed down here in your total assets. But this, again, it depends on how much you want to go into detail, how much focus you want to be on your finances. You could also just say, okay, in December, I'll look into all these numbers and make adjustments so that this is all correct, so that when we enter January of 2026, well, no, all these amounts are correct, and I can project on those numbers as a baseline, but I won't spend the time to update before December 2026, so that again, I have a new baseline for 2027. But again, that's up to you. Totally. I just want to show you how you can make changes if you want to,